pouring down today here in Lucca. So it's a good day to talk about retirement visa. We had the question about how to retire and be able to stay here in Italy. So let's talk about the retirement visa or elective visa that you may qualify for. So retiring in Italy, is it possible? Yes, it is. Now, let's begin first with the fact that US citizens are only allowed to stay in Italy for 90 days. Italy belongs or is part of the Schengen zone in Europe. The Schengen zone is comprised of 29 countries in Europe. This year is 29 countries. And basically are countries that they have a treaty where there are borders, but there is no customs, there is no passport control. You can move freely. It would be going from Italy, driving, or even taking a flight. France or Spain or Germany, it would be like driving from
Texas to Kansas.
Exactly. You are crossing borders, but there's no passport control.
No, not at all.
So now, as we said, US citizens are only allowed to be in Italy for 90 days. We're focusing on Italy.
Yeah. Visa free. So you're allowed to stay 90 days. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? It means that you can come here, test the waters for a couple months, live outside of the tourist areas, see how you like it, go back home, and decide if this is really something you want to do. And then if you want to stay long term, you can use the elective residency visa.
When we say test the waters, it's because moving is a shock, okay? Especially, when you are going to make it a permanent home. So you need to test if you like, everything about the place where you're going, okay? Yes. Because not everything is like Instagram, okay? So you have to make sure that you like it, that you can adapt. Now, the 90-day shuffle, some people do that. They come to the country, they stay for 90 days, they leave the Schengen zone, they have to stay outside for 90 days. Some people, they go to, Albania, for example, because it's not part of the Schengen zone, so they can stay there for 90 days, or they go to different places, or they go back to the States. Mm-hmm. Now, many of those people have a property in the States, and they can do that, go back and forth. Some people don't have that option. So let's talk about the permanent option, okay?
So the elective visa is a process that you go through to stay longer than 90 days. It tells us that you can live in Italy without working, mm-hmm. that you have enough money saved, or you have a pension or investments to support yourself while in Italy. And you do that by first going to the consular embassy and proving that you have the financial means to support yourself.
Let's go over the steps of how this works. Okay, so the first step is to prove your financial resources, right?
And as of right now, 2024, that means that you have at least 31,000 euros for a person and 38,000 euros a year for a couple, mm-hmm. to support yourself while you're living here in Italy.
Now, if you have more dependents than just a spouse, then you have to add 20%.
Now, this amount can vary a little bit depending on the consulate that you go to. So don't be surprised if the numbers are a little different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of like the standard. Mm-hmm. Again, the funds can be from pensions, property income,
savings, 401ks.
The next thing you will need is a proof of lodging.
So that's why it's important you come maybe first and do some exploring. Mm-hmm. Because then you might also need to line up a lease, so you have a signed lease that you can take with you and show that, hey, look, I have a place to stay.
From our experience, getting a lease sometimes is easier to do it, in person than doing it online. Or not online, I would say. No, it's not online. It's because you have a hard time from realtors returning phone calls.
And we've heard there's services out there that you can pay someone, mm-hmm. to do this for you.
Yes.
So there's ways about it. We didn't do it that way.
No,
so.
We have a different...
Mm-hmm. We have a different story altogether.
Yes. The next thing is proof of medical insurance, that you will be able to take care of your medical needs.
So you have to have a policy that proves that if something were to happen to you, you would be taken care of. Now, once you get over here, you can buy into the Italian healthcare system, and that's a little over $2,000 and
A year.
a year. So it's really worth it, and it's really a good thing.
It's a really good system. They really have a good system, healthcare system here.
Yes. And it goes without saying, you also need a valid passport with enough pages for them to put the visa in.
When we said valid passport, meaning it cannot be expiring within 6 months to a year, you know, depends on the
I would try to have a new one before I came over here. So you
Yes.
got plenty of time to play.
You, of course, you have to complete the application, and you find that in the embassies or consulates page.
Along with the application, make sure you have passport photos to submit as well.
You're going to need birth certificate, marriage certificate, and things like that. Now, one thing, and this is for women specifically, because in the US, women are used to changing their last name, and the birth certificate is not going to match your marriage certificate. That might cause an issue. It causes a lot of issues for people who go for citizenship here. I don't know about residency, but it is an issue.
Yeah, keep in the back of your mind in case something's brought up about it.
Yes, because you know your birth certificate will never change, but your marriage.
And what does that mean? It might mean you might need another document or something.
They might require a background check. We are not sure about that part. In some cases they do, some cases they don't. So.
And that just means getting a copy of your criminal history.
When you start your application, it has to be done in your home country. There are several Italian consulates around the United States, so you have to see which one is the one that belongs to your address.
Geographical area.
Geographical area. Yes, because what happens is one consulate takes care of several states. So you have to check what's the one that belongs to you.
So once you download the application, fill it out, gather all your documents and photos that you need to show up for your appointment.
It's a personal or in-person appointment, so you cannot send somebody in your place.
So whenever we deal with consulates, we always try to keep a copy of everything we have. I always show up with extra copies just in case, because you want everything to go as planned. God forbid you go there and they say, oh, you're missing a form, or I need an extra copy of this, and then it just delays the process.
Yes, and in some cases, not everywhere, okay? But in some cases, they might say, we don't make copies.
We don't make copies here. That you have to take care of all before you come.
So you don't want to go through that. You're better off making 2 sets of copy. And we even did color copies, just in case. You know what I mean? Especially for passport copies and things like that.
Yes.
We make copies of everything.
And it also goes without saying, show up on time. Be there early. It's like a job interview. They're granting you access into their country. So then once you go to your appointment, then you sit back and you have to wait for them to approve your visa, and provide the visa to you.
There are certain places where they are backlogged on appointments, so there might be a wait time. So you have to check on that too.
Yeah. So once you get approved and you receive your visa, then you come to Italy. Once you come to Italy, you have 8 days after entering Italy to start the process for your residency. That means having to make an appointment and getting paperwork to fill out, more paperwork to fill out, a kit.
From the postal service, okay? So it's called Poste Italiane, and you go there and you just ask for the Permesso di Soggiorno kit, okay? Which is Permesso di Soggiorno is a permit to stay, basically.
Yes, and this can be kind of daunting. Remember, you're filling out a form in Italian.
So exactly, so that I was gonna get to that all the forms in Italy are in Italian, okay? They don't have the 2 languages, none of that. So you have to either be very fluent in Italian, or you have to hire somebody that will help you and maybe walk you through the application and even go with you to the postal service. Yeah. We just had to renew his Permesso di Soggiorno, and this was 2 weeks ago that we went and picked up the kit for the renewal. We completed the application, and when we turned it in, there was another couple that came in. They didn't have the application filled out, and they turned them away.
Yeah, they were asking for help, and they said, no, we don't do that here. You have to go fill it out yourself.
Yeah, you had to find somebody to help you and come back. The postal service will not help you. Yeah. In that sense, it's not their job to come out of behind the counter and, sit down and fill it out with
I
you.
don't think they would have the time to do that for everybody that walked in.
Yeah.
There,
So you have to really hire somebody that speaks Italian. Once everything is completed, you turn it in to the postal service. Okay, so you get it from the postal service, and once it's completed, you turn it into the postal service, and they will put it in the computer in the system, and they will give you
a receipt with an appointment.
the next step is going to the questura, which is the police department.
And that's on your appointment. For your appointment. They make the appointment, the post office makes the appointment with the police department.
Now, this is an FYI, okay? We just went for his renewal, again, to turn in the kit, and we're in June. The appointment is not until February of next year,
And this
7 months.
And this is for a renewal.
Yes.
We have some other friends who are going through the process for their initial permiso, and it's the same thing, they get backlog. But once you start the process and you get that appointment and that receipt, you're okay. You're
Yes,
covered.
the receipt is your document. Now, while you are in that process, you cannot leave the country. You have to stay put in Italy. Okay, you have to wait. So, but don't be surprised that it takes longer than the estimated 30 days, 40 days, whatever it is.
It just depends on when you're getting here and where you're at and what their backlog is.
Exactly, because here in Lucca, right now, there is a 7-month wait time just for the appointment.
So when you go to your appointment, chances are they're just going to want to see your passport and some documents. They may ask you a couple of questions, may not.
Yes.
They'll take your fingerprints, and then they'll say, hey, here's a slip of paper. Come pick up your ID in 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes, and you can usually check online for that part of the process. The Questura has a website where you can input the number, that you get in the receipt.
The document number, the receipt number, and they can tell you, oh, your application's in process or your ID's in process.
And then, you get to go back to the Questura and pick it up. In some cases, they might send it via mail. If they do send it via mail, be aware that you personally have to receive it. They will not drop it off in your mailbox.
Yeah, they're going to want to see a signature.
Yes, so that happened to us too, and for other documents. No.
So once you finish the process and you get your permiso, it's normally good for about 2 years. Once you've lived in Italy for 5 years, you can apply for permanent residency.
Yes.
So that's something to look forward to.
And yes, and usually the permisos, they vary on duration. So, the first one is usually 2 years, but then after that, you could get another one for 2 years, or they might give you just something for 5 years. It all depends on where you are located in Italy. So it's not a standard.
Yeah, and it's no standard. And who's to say they don't give you a 1 year? You never know.
Exactly. So it all depends, But, again, make sure you have all your documents, copies, especially the financial part, because they do ask to see that stuff, in most cases.
But it's a task I know it seems daunting at first, but it's doable. It's very doable, and you can do this. It's other people have done it. You can too.
So this was answering the question about how to stay here, and that is the best retirement visa option right now. Remember that the amount required right now, as of 2024, is what we said, but
subject to change and interpretation by the consulate. So
exactly, inflation. Several factors, right? So make sure that, and you also remember that is in euros.
So there's an exchange rate.
The conversion. So check your consulate page, and just to be certain of it, okay, of the accuracy of the information. Okay, so if you have any more questions, let us know. In the meantime, we're leaving you another video here for you to watch.
Enjoy.